Hello everyone. We're doing a little review here of the G&G F2000. Alright, quick overview of the model this is. This is one of the earlier G&G F2000s, but not the earliest set. You can tell by the licensing it has on it, the trademarks. They're different through the generations. The first generation has the G&G trademarks up here, but it has the cast-in FN logo here. This one has the F2000, the actual FN trademarks here, and then it also has the engraved logo here. The newer ones that are coming out have a screen-printed FN logo here, which is kind of nasty. I don't like that, especially because like the paint that says licensed by FN Herstal underneath it comes off very easily, which I'll probably just scrape it all off anyways because it looks dumb. But as you can see, it says the FN Herstal Belgium F2000 caliber 6mm, and then the pretty, whoops, my bad. Then it has the pretty FN logo. All right. So that's a quick overview of which model this is. Gearbox inside is really all the same on all the models. It's just the trademarks, really. Quick thing I want to say about this gun is that of all the airsoft guns I have ever held, and I've held quite a few, I'm a collector, I have a lot of different airsoft guns. I buy, sell, trade all the time. This is by far the most realistic copy I have ever felt as far as the feel. I go to gun shows a lot. I'm also a firearms collector, at least my family is, and I've held these quite a lot. And I'll tell you, this feels so much like it. I believe the dimensions are a little bit different to accommodate the gearbox and battery housing, stuff like that, but for the most part it is identical, and the feel of the polymer is perfect. It feels just as solid. It's got the same heft, good weight to it, just like the real thing. Now, the only major difference is the rubber. I know it's not a huge thing. It looks quite a bit different. This is a lot more matte than the real thing. The real thing is somewhat shinier, but honestly, so what? It's on your shoulder. It's not that big a deal, and that's really all I have to say about that. Now onto a little bit more of the meat of this review. Let's start with the polymer. It's a fiber reinforced. It's nice stuff. Feels great. Like I said, it makes up the whole body of the gun. Polymer handguard, polymer upper, but it's got a metal, a machined rail inside of it. The machined barrel, gas system, all that good stuff is the metal that you want. Since it's G&G, it comes with that stupid plastic flash hider. For once, it was actually really easy to take off. Thank goodness. However, I replaced it with the Scar flash hider that I have. I think it looks really nice on here. Okay. And as far as the sights go, you probably know this already. It has a flip-up rear sight, which is just a peep sight. It's kind of hard to flip up. And then it has the detachable front sight. I really like the sight picture. You can do just fine with the iron sights on here. It's a lot easier to look through than some peep sights. I feel that the hole in the rear is the perfect size to look through. A lot of people have said that the metal on the rear sight has bent. I don't really see that happening. It's pretty thick. Maybe some of the earliest versions did that. Maybe some people were really rough with them. I don't know. While I'm talking about the sights, the rear is adjustable for windage, and the front is adjustable for elevation. So you can get a decent amount of, adjustability with your sights, although it's not really necessary. What you'll probably be using more is the hop-up for adjustments. and that is accessed in here, which is very nice. This is spring loaded, so it's spring shut, holds open with a spring. It's a very stiff spring, so it's not going to flip open on you, but when it is open, and this is a little bit annoying, with some guns you can adjust while you shoot. With this, it blocks your sight picture completely. It's not that big a deal, but it just means it's going to take a little bit more time to get your hop adjusted perfectly where you'll want it. Alright, now the sight I have on here is one of the generic NC Star panorama red dots with the multiple reticles. There's a couple reasons why I put this on here. One, I have nothing else to put it on. It looks terrible on most guns. But for some reason, it actually looks pretty cool on the F2000. It almost looks like it was made for it, especially when you look at it from an angle like this. I really like that. The other reason is it's a light optic. And with this gun, it has a weird balance. I will tell you right now, this gun balances much different than any other gun I have ever handled. The balance as is right about, and I'm not just going to free float it here, is right about where the body pin is. Okay, that's where the center of balance is. So it's a little bit behind the pistol grip here, which is nice. It puts a lot of weight on the shoulder. Now the only problem with this is it's going to take a little bit to get used to using it at the field, because even though it's about the same weight as most airsoft guns, I haven't measured the exact weight, it feels different. It definitely does. And it's heavy for a polymer gun because it's very solid polymer. You've got the heavy machine metal on the front, and then of course the gearbox, which is actually pretty heavy because there's a lot of mechanical stuff on the outside of the gearbox too. So like I was saying, the center of balance, it pushes the balance onto your shoulder. It pushes the weight back, which is nice because this arm doesn't feel a whole lot of it. However, your shoulders will definitely notice. If you play with this after using, what, like an M4, you're probably going to end up being a little bit more sore than you usually are, just because of the change of the center of balance and the weight distribution. I was honestly more tired after a whole day using this than I was with my M60, just because I'm used to the way that weighs out. This is a completely different ballgame. You probably will need to get used to it. Now, why did I mention the weight of the optic? Well, since this is so lightweight, it hardly affects the balance at all. I put a mock EOTech on here, and while it looks very good, it looks excellent on here, and it works great, it screwed up the balance so much. It was all coming to the front. It made it more tiring on both of my arms. I just didn't like it. It got very tiring very quickly, just because of the different layout, and I took it off and reverted to iron sights, and now I'm going to try this sight next time I field it. So just something to keep in mind if you're planning on buying an optic solely for this gun. I would go with one of these panoramas or like a Seymour replica or a micro dot, something with a little less weight to it. That way you don't screw up the center of balance. I would also keep that in mind if you're planning on putting the flashlight foregrip on here. I wouldn't run any optics if I were you. Or you can just get used to it. You can adjust to it and all will be fine. Let's quick talk about the magazine. Of course, the magazine release is right up here. Very convenient to access. You can get it with this hand. You can slide your hand back and hit it with your pinky or whatever. So you know you can be dropping it and grabbing the mag at the same time. Or you can do the AK-esque reload where you take the next mag, push up, and then stick it in. Okay? But anyways, it's the standard G&G 450 round high cap. Nothing special about it. It actually has a little bit more wobble in the mag well than standard sized M4 mags do. Why, I don't know, especially since it's made by the company that makes this gun. There's just a little bit more wobble. You can see it about there. It's still not a ton of wobble, so it's not a big issue. No feeding problems. Works just fine. I like it. Okay. While I'm showing you this side, this is something kind of strange that I wanted to point out. While it does have the molded in FN trademarks, take a look at this. Let's see if you notice anything strange. Did you catch it? It's upside down. On the right side of the gun, the logo is upside down. I don't know why it's upside down. I don't know how they make it a mistake like that at the factory, but G&G somehow managed to do that. Does it really bother me? No, not that much, but I'm just letting you know it's upside down on this side. I believe their newest models, which are slightly more expensive, have it the right way. So just thought I'd let you know that. This assembly is incredibly simple. You've probably seen it before if you watched these reviews, or not my reviews, but other reviews of this gun. Slide the pin out, push it forward. I'm not even going to demonstrate it right now. It's so easy. Another complaint I've seen in other videos, an Airsoft Team Kilo 2-3, he also talks about this. He's got good videos, by the way, if you want to watch his stuff. I'm not going to link him or anything. I'm just saying he's a good reviewer. But an issue some people have is that, let me see if I can get it to do this. There we go. The pin just falls out on its own whenever it wants. Now your assembly is not going to come off no matter what, just because of how tight this is in here. This is in here really, really tight, so it's not going to fall off. But this would be very annoying, especially if you, like, you know, aim sideways and the pin just pops out. It's not going to fall out. It retains itself, but still, this is annoying. How do you fix it? Well, I looked on some forums. Some people said, oh, you can adjust this Allen key on the sight assembly, right on the barrel. You know how I fix it? There you go. What did I do? Push forward on the receiver. It'll put pressure on it. It'll put tension on it, and it's not going to fall out. You have to push it pretty hard to get it to come out. And same for putting it in. It's really simple. Just push it forward. It's tight enough where it'll hold forward on its own. It's not going to affect your accuracy, your compression, nothing like that, honestly. So if your pin comes loose like that, just push your receiver forward a little bit. There you go. No problems. If it starts coming out again, push it forward again. It's a really simple fix, I'll tell you right now. It's not a big issue. Okay, so I've covered a lot of this. The handguard is very comfortable to hold. It's got these little finger grooves here, and my hand just fits perfectly onto it. I really like the feel of this gun. It just feels great. Compared to the P90, the pistol grip is way more comfortable. It has a more vertical angle than the P90 does, and my problem with the P90 is I like it. I love the gun. The only problem is the grip is at such an awkward angle that it actually gives me cramps on my wrist. So I played one game with a P90, and I was like, this is pretty annoying. This is not the same. This is more vertical. It's more natural. It's a lot more comfortable. And then the handguard, of course, is very comfortable, and it's solid. It's not going to wobble, nothing like that. It's really nice, and it's hard plastic. Okay, let's talk about the bolt. Of course, it does nothing, but it's fun to play with. Pulls back and locks. After a while, it'll kind of round out, and it probably won't hold back anymore. Sometimes it likes to just go on its own, but just thought I'd cover that really briefly. Didn't mention this. There's a serial number up here. Okay. Selector switch is just like a P90. It does have the first selection is semi-automatic, and then you pull it over one. You can do semi halfway or full auto all the way back, which is pretty cool. The only problem is the cutoff letters on these tend to have an issue with semi-automatic sometimes. So I just thought I'd mention that. There was some forum post somewhere that tells you how to fix that. I rounded mine out. I still occasionally have issues with it, but it's so... It just doesn't happen very often. It happens so seldom that I don't really even care. Just switch it to full auto and pull the trigger all the way, and it works fine. Okay. What else to cover? Oh, well, on the selector switch, it's really stiff, and it doesn't loosen up. I'm just telling you right now. Sometimes I tweak my fingers when I'm changing the selection, so you might want to use this hand, your forward hand. I don't know if you have like arthritis or something. I don't know, I'm just telling you, it's stiff and it doesn't loosen up. So anyways, the machining on the front here, the rail is really nicely machined. It's not sharp like some rails. It holds optics well. There's no wobble. It's good. I like it. And then, of course, there's plenty of room for optics. You want to put a PEC box on the front. I don't know why you would, but you can. You sure can. So yeah, it's a nice rail. As far as the barrel goes, the threading is excellent. It's really crisp, and it holds and threads pretty much everything I put on it so far, and I have no doubt that it'll hold any quality flash hider. The gas system, you can move this little piece just for the fun of it. It does nothing, of course. And then, of course, the little dust cover here. It actually flips down. There's no spring behind it or anything. It's just a little aesthetic thing. It's kind of cool. There's no hole in here, of course, because that would be pointless on here. It would probably just fill with dirt. But just thought I'd make mention of that. Now, a lot of people also complain about the butt plate and it being a pain in the butt to take on and put off, or put on and take off, my bad. I don't see that issue. I think it's very simple to work with. This is how I do it. I flip it on the bottom, flip the bottom piece open, and then use my palm, slide it off. And see, I don't even have to take out that metal plate. Crazy and Seaman's review, he says that the metal plate, if you take that out, it's way easier to take off and put on, which is true. But I don't really see the need to take it off. Doing this to the butt plate will eventually wear this down, but butt plates are cheap, easy to replace. And I've done it a lot of times and it hasn't torn or anything, so it's just up to you which you prefer. And of course, this is your battery space, gearbox storage, and spring guide adjustment area. Now there's an Allen key inside there where the black is. That actually moves the spring guide forward and backward. The Phillips, or no, not Phillips, the flathead, the big silver screw you see, that basically supports it and keeps it from loosening up. So you'll need to adjust both in order to adjust the spring guide, and you get about 50 FPS difference between all the way forward and all the way back, which is quite a lot. Just bear that in mind, that you can really adjust the FPS on this thing. What else? It's easy to disassemble. You just use the Phillips screwdriver to take off this plate and then loosen up the Allen key here. So you can see the hole on this side, and then the one right here. Loosen these, don't take them off, and you can slide the gearbox out, no problem. Really easy to work with. As far as battery storage, it holds mini types perfectly, 9.6 minis, 7.4 lipos. If you get a triple stick lipo, which is what my friend has, it's an 11.1. It's probably my favorite lipo. You can fit one in here, and one in here, which is pretty cool. And then you have plenty of room for wiring. This has been replaced with Dean's. It does not come with Dean's like most guns. It will come with Tamiya's. So just letting you know that. And then of course, see, I've still got the metal plate in here, right? Just set it forward, slide it back, flip it down. There you go. All right, butt plate's back on. So it's not too big a deal. Just letting you know there is, this is not necessarily a huge issue with the gun. I'm trying to clear up some myths. I'm no G&G fanboy. I actually, for the most part, I dislike G&G. I just like the F2000. I just wanted to dispel some criticisms that are really not that big an issue. So anyways, what have I not talked about? Talked about a lot. Well, I'll talk about the trigger. Of course, I told you about the semi and the full auto part, but the trigger is pretty stiff. It's a bullpup trigger. That's pretty self-explanatory there. So just keep that in mind. When you're shooting it, you don't notice it as much, but it is kind of a stiff trigger. Anyways, as far as the hop-up and barrel go, those are the first things I'm going to replace. Talking about performance now, of course. For some reason, my barrel turns inside of the hop-up unit, so I'm going to get a better barrel. I don't really like the G&G bucking. It gives me just decent accuracy, nothing special, so I'm going to put a garter in here at some point. But other than that, it has a lot of room for adjustment, so you can really tune in to where you want it to hit. Just thought I'd mention that. As far as internals, the internals are nothing special at all. For a gun as expensive as this, it's kind of disappointing. Everything inside the gearbox is nice, it's smooth, and it's quiet. A lot of people say, oh, the F2000 is so quiet. It really is. Not so much for the shooter, but for everyone else, it is very quiet. So, what I would recommend you replace of anything in here is the motor. G&G motors are no bueno. I do not like G&G motors. They are very slow for the most part, most of their guns. Right now I'm borrowing a friend's, the Matrix motor, the high speed, and it gives a lot better performance. All you really need to do with this gun is replace the motor and you have an excellent, excellent gun. And then it's up to you if you want to replace your hop-up unit, or not hop-up unit, but the barrel and the bucking. I might have just gotten the short end of the stick with this one. Who knows, yours might be beautiful accuracy, but I just thought I'd let you know that that's really what I recommend replacing. I don't recommend disassembling the gearbox, just because you'll lose that magic. And of course, I'll put up a shooting video of this a little bit later. I need to find my camera, and the weather is a bit crappy here. So I will be doing that shortly. Anyways, I think I've pretty much covered everything with this gun. Just give you a couple different views of it. It's a beautiful gun. Feels great. Do I recommend it? Yes. Do I recommend it at the price? No. Personally, I don't recommend paying $350 or whatever it costs for this gun. I bought it new, but I managed to find one on Gunbroker of all places that was only like $200 or something like that. Brand new, 200 bucks. Packaging is absolutely terrible. It's the worst packaging I've ever had on an airsoft gun. Just thought I'd briefly cover that. I don't need to show you the box. It's just garbage. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this review, and I guess I'll see you next time.